Hello, everybody. So, hello, everybody. Yeah, it was a little glitch that didn't want to work well, but now everything seems to be okay. So, hello, everybody. Sorry about the little weirdness delay. And talking about delay, I will be doing something here because something's wrong there too for some reason. So let's just restart the PC. So welcome, everybody. Nice to have you here. We've had a little problem, a couple of things together. The fact that I was very last minute. Went out to pick up some Chinese food at a new restaurant, which took an enormous amount of time compared to what it should. But it's a new restaurant that's open for about a week, and I wanted to try it. Come back home. Something's weird with the stream. I was like, okay, what's happening here? It's kind of complex. So I restarted the stream, and things seem to be back to normal. Hope everybody's all right. Sorry about that little delay there. Let me check if everything's all right here. Let's start SDR Uno here. So we had a G3 class geomagnetic storm today, pretty strong. Might still be going on, although the signals seem to be not too bad. There we go.
Euros to around 29 billion euros after the amount for reduced at all chapters. Adjustment allocations for education were reduced to 3.7 billion euros from the initial.
So that's Radio Romania 7375 kilohertz. So the geomagnetic storm must have subsided because the signal's there for Radio Romania tonight. So welcome aboard, everybody. Hope everybody's all right. So what else do we have? What do we have? Okay. So we are heading into some really beautiful weather the next week. Temperatures will be in the mid 70s to almost 80 at times. It's going to be more summer-like. It's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to try to make videos, more videos outdoor with just the radios and telescopic antenna. So this is going to be kind of cool. Okay, so let's start from the start as we have to begin somewhere. Welcome, everybody. This is the Shortwave radio stream or radio show. This is a show about radio, shortwave mainly, but, you know, long wave, medium wave, shortwave, and sometimes we go into other frequency ranges. It's a show about fans of radio that just like to have fun listening to distant signals on a radio. Yes, these boxes still exist. And actually today we got some really modern stuff like SDRs here in the back, which is a radio. For, you know, a lot of people still think that Well, you're listening on the internet. No, that has nothing to do with the internet. I could shut down the internet. This works on its own. This is an autonomous radio. It's a radio. It's just that the screen and the controls are computerized. So there's no knobs. It's the computer that controls it. It's still a radio. It's plugged into an antenna in my front yard. So here, let's do a little change here, because that was my W6LVP in the back. So let me just put the W6LVP back online here, because that's where the signals are really good. There we go. Hey, I got a 4-port multi-coupler, and now I have to switch between radios because I had too many radios on the multi-coupler.
Theater of operations.
So this is an MLA30.
Since World War II. Last week,
This
the
is
first
W6LVP.
70 Romanian
Signals are kind of
soldiers
down.
arrived in the country. The plan to withdraw the 600 soldiers is
So
coordinated
MLA30 is actually the winner here.
from the theater of operations.
So this is Radio Romania 7375. Pretty good signal tonight. And so we talk about radio. We are here twice a week with a live show where we just have fun tuning around the bands, talking about radio, answering questions, just, having fun. And we also have another show. So we have a show on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 0 hours UTC, which is Thursday for a lot of people. And Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time, where we just talk about radio once again, and hope that you enjoy. The show has no specific length, and technically there's no, minimum or maximum time of shows. We had shows in the past that lasted an hour and a half. We had shows in the past that lasted 5 hours. So, anything happens, and we never know. It depends on so many factors, so many things, of course. And my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and northeast part of North America. And we, of course, are here to entertain, have fun, and just, have some great time with other people that are fanatics of radio and have fun using radio. There's a beautiful chat room with wonderful people. If you are, if you want to chat and have fun with people, and it doesn't matter if you're a newbie, if you're brand new to the hobby or not. This is the place where everybody's welcome and everybody is having fun. Of course, there's a Facebook group when all of this is over, which is Official SWL Channel on Facebook. And people post all sorts of information about what they listen to, their radios, the Radio Shacks, and so on. It's pretty active and a lot of fun. More than 1,700 members. You can send an email, and we're going to check the email right now and say hello if you're actually listening to the show and are not in the chat room. So we have Elizabeth that is in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, saying hello, and nice to be on board tonight. We have Richard Lemke. Nice to have you on board from Alberta, Canada. So nice to have you here, Richard. And it's pretty cool to have everybody here watching the live stream. And, it's kind of a cool thing to have fun with radio. So we had a little glitch starting the stream, which was just like a spinning wheel on the computer where it just didn't seem to go nowhere. So I actually had to restart the stream from scratch, and that time it actually worked. Interesting that it was also a Wednesday like a couple of weeks ago when it didn't work. And we're here to entertain, talk about radio, and just have fun. So like I was saying, everything was late. I went to get some Chinese food from it's a mix of Asian food and Chinese restaurant. So there's like, American Chinese stuff. I had General Tao chicken. And of course, there's a lot of also like, Vietnamese, Cambodian. The menu is huge. There's so much stuff in there. It's pretty crazy. So I wanted to try it because it's been open for a week. A friend of mine went there, posted that things were amazing. I have to say, I had a wonton. It's a mix of kind of a wonton soup with like um, kind of a mix of an Asian type soup. It was there are noodles and all sorts of things in there, but with shrimp. Oh man, I got to say it was good. So, anyways, that was like super long. You know, you go to a restaurant, you're like, yeah, in 10 minutes I'm going to have my stuff. I think it took half an hour before all the stuff that I ordered was ready. So it took a lot more time than I thought. So I got here already a little, last minute. I had to eat kind of a little fast. And then the stream didn't start. I was like, wow, what a night. So nice to have you here. And now I've got my vodka cranberry juice. So cheers, everybody. So like I was saying earlier, we had it went up to a G3 geomagnetic storm this afternoon. Pretty big storm affecting the shortwave band. So if you tuned the radio this afternoon and you didn't hear a lot, yeah, it's possible that things were kind of crappy. Seems better tonight because this like Radio Romania is pretty good. So signals seem to be pretty good tonight. So it's nice to have everybody on board and share with radio. So, of course, some people will be catching up with the stream as soon as they find a new stream, if possible. Nice to have all of you here, as usual. We have SoCal. Nice to have you here. Jeff King. Nice to have you on board from Jacksonville, Florida. Matt, MDK2. Nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. DJ Farlow. Nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess. Nice to have you here. WA5107SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Jim in Rhode Island. Nice to have you here. Eyebrawler. Nice to have you here from Arkansas. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Almost 100 Fahrenheit. That's way too hot for me. Christian Marcoux, bonjour, bonsoir. J'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you on board from North Bay, Ontario. DX Bandit, nice to have you here, my friend. Mark Cup from Dallas, Texas, WA5153SWL. We have SoCal Fist from California. He's 45 minutes from San Diego. William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. Joe, nice to have you on board from Newmarket, Virginia. Charles Williams, nice to have you here. It's he says overcast San Diego near the bay. What do we have? We have Glenn, nice to have you here from Tennessee. Paul, nice to have you on board from Michigan. Quebec Z76, nice to have you here from West Michigan. Keegan, XN80Xer, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. VT Radio, nice to have you here from Vermont. AA1SU. And the dugout is AOR AR8600. And it's nice to have you on board. Let me just do a little something here because somebody just sent an email asking me where I am. So he says, Radio Emma Talk, Mailbag Show. This is a music show, Radio Romania International, my lineup. So he has his lineup of favorite shows, Richard. So cool. Nice to have you on board, my friend, via email. Skip, nice to have you on board, N2EI. And we have Jim and KN6 BRK in California, 79 and sunny. Dmitry, nice to have you on board, my friend. Aerial Imaging, nice to have you on board. Ryan from Lockport, Illinois. We have DX Bandit says picked up a Vertex Standard VX 1700 Marine HF radio. Great sounding AM bandwidth, full coverage receiver. Wow, cool. Everybody's saying hello to Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. VA2WLT, Walter, nice to have you on board and looking for PL330 service manual or schematics. Can it be found somewhere on the web? I'm not sure because it's such a recent radio that I'm not sure if we can find. We find some. I do find some service manuals for older texts and receivers, but usually the ones that are very, very recent, it's very difficult to find one of those. What I would do probably is contact Anonco, ANONCO, and ask if there is available a service manual for it. Maybe Anna at Anonco can help you with that, but very, new receivers, it's very difficult to find one. Mr. Planet Man, nice to have you on board from Southern Ontario. Stuart Hall. Yeah, Microsoft is Tuesday for its patch Tuesday updates for security. We have, Chinese food was amazing. I have to say that, man. And the menu is so big that I'm going to have for weeks of trying out different dishes. It's a brand new restaurant. They were like all happy to see me because they were kind of not doing anything. It's like, when you're a brand new restaurant, you got people got to know you're around. I have to say, very, very surprised at how good it was. TVDXer, salut, ça va bien, j'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you on board just from outside Montreal. Joe Simonis, nice to have you on board. Have you tried Some Young Guy Tasty? Nope. I will if they have it. If I see it somewhere, I will, though. Lots of really good stuff in there. Rick, nice to have you here from Milwaukee. Christian Ferland, nice to have you on board. Ricardo Ortiz, nice to have you on board from Boston. Of the Dawn, nice to have you here. The Device 9, nice to have you on board from Washington State. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board, my friend. Jared EX, nice to have you here. Jesse Bebop, a Chinese PL368 has a reasonable price. Do you think the upcoming Export 368 will come more expensive? Usually they don't. Usually the price that we see with the Chinese versions is pretty much the price it's going to sell for when it actually is out. And it's soon to be out. But even the Chinese version, I can't say I've found any glitches on the PL368 that I have. But of course, there's going to be the Conicom version, which will be the GP7 SSB that you'll get from the US if you want. So you can wait for that also. That one might be a little more expensive, but it has some changes to make it better. Jason, VE9JMC, nice to have you here from St. John's, New Brunswick. Mike, WDX50, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. What else do we have? Any heightened shortwave from trouble in the Middle East military? I haven't noted anything special, but I think it is worth to maybe monitor the utility bands a little bit for sure. What else do we have? Endelman Show. Nice to have you here from North Carolina. Cool. Dimitri says, if you have Thai table restaurant, suggest you check out the cuisine in Canada. Food are very good. Okay. Christian Marcoux. How would you hook up your MLA30 to your PL380? By the way, does that snap to the antenna connector have a name? Wow. Basically, what you want to do is that the center connector of the MLA30 would go to the telescopic, clipped to the telescopic. and the outer connector would go to some metal ground or some sort to complete. That is a bad side to the PL380, is the fact that it doesn't have an antenna jack. What I would let me just check out something here, just out of curiosity. Worst part is there's an antenna, a K180WLA comes with actually a MLA in an SMA connector to alligator clip. Oh, there's something there. So there's it's called an oscilloscope test cable, but there's an SMA to 2x crocodile connector. So let's see it here. SMA. Since the so this is this SMA female. Yeah, let me check it out here. There's the male version, but I don't see the female version. Because there's something called a, if you go on eBay and you write SMA to crocodile, there's a male version. So SMA male to 2x crocodile, which means that could be hooked up technically to your antenna. But the problem is the SMA connector is male plug. You need a SMA female to it. So you'd have to buy also some kind of an adapter to do this. And I will tell you the very, very basic way I would do it. And I don't know if I got it here. I think I got one here. I'm going to show you guys about what I mean. I do believe I have something here that I can show you guys. So this is like that. Where's the other one? What I would do, and that I can tell you that's pretty much what I would do, is let me just... Oops, sorry guys. I would do that. So what I would do, and I'll show you guys, get yourself an simply the cable, an SMA female connector with a cable. So you see here, I've got that. This one is a male, but get yourself a female so that it plugs into the connector of the SMA of the MLA30. And then you'll have the other end, which has the braid, which is the shield, and you'll have the center connector. And what I would do is I'd use 2 crocodile clips, one with the center connector connected to the PL380's antenna telescoping antenna, and I would take the other one and just clip it to some grounded metal plate or something, anything. It's going to work, honestly, and it's not going to cost you much. That's what I would do, rather than trying to find some weird cable. That is the sad part of the MLA of the Texan PL380 not having a telescoping antenna. What am I saying? Not having a antenna jack. I'm thinking too many things at the same time. Kimberly, K6YYL, nice to have you here from California with homemade pizza. I'll be over in a short while. JRDX, yeah, but the PDF manual online is not available. when a radio is too brand new, you can't find the service manuals. They're almost impossible to find. It's over time that eventually they show up, because there is surely a service manual on that thing. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. Rick, when do we get the new version of Windows? In the next couple of weeks. It's going to come out this month, 21H1, but it's nothing exciting and nothing to go crazy about. But it's, it's going to be there any day now. It's going to start showing up. Shelly, nice to have you here from South Central Pennsylvania. We have Broad's Killing headed to a rural area this weekend with a PL330 and long wire and new CC Pocket to try out as a mini DXer. If you get to a very quiet location and conditions are good, you're going to be surprised at what you're going to get on shortwave. I'm going to tell you that. Scott, KC2 CAD. A big howdy hello from the wrong side of the tracks, North Boston, New York. Joe Gomez, nice to have you here from San Diego. Joe Michaels, when are the radio sales? There's not really radio sales. Honestly, most radios have a price. They'll settle on the price and they'll stay on those prices pretty much always. It happens sometimes. If you look at Amazon, I've seen Amazon have, kind of crazy sales sometimes, but it doesn't happen that often. And it depends on the radios. There are some radios that never really get on sale. They're pretty much always at the same price. Larry Cordy, nice to have you here from New York. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you on board. Monitor Russian stations as they caused our fuel shortage, now calling all pirates to jam Russia. Oh, God. Aerial imaging, Chinese number one. I think I'll take a ride to my favorite spot tomorrow. Yeah, that's good. Carl Icon, nice to have you here from New York. Pretty cool. Bruce Bernard, nice to have you here from South Florida. Tom DXer, nice to have you here. WPE2QED from the Hudson Valley, New York. We have the Blind Picker, nice to have you here. Rob in Connecticut, W0RAB. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from Apex, North Carolina. KM4WRQ. It's nice to have everybody here. So welcome, Richard, as he found the way home, seeing the stream. So nice to have you here, my friend. From Alberta, Canada. What do we have? Chas Tank, nice to have you here. Tuning in from Louisville, Kentucky, USA. Hope everyone's doing well. Dimitri says, the Apple Podcasts have interesting show about UVB-76 Russian buzzer. Everyone who want to know about that station, tune to the podcast from Apple. What else do we have? You should patent that and make millions. Yeah. Christian Marcoux, wow, kill service. You're my hero. Sorry, guys. It's all right. It's all right. But honestly, I'll do a lot of this. When it's very unusual, I do a lot of it like very manually. I just get myself, cables and crocodile clips and just manually do it. That it works. I mean, I will always get this guy coming saying, well, you can't do it like that because there's going to be loss in that crocodile. Is like, all I have to say every time I read something like that is, I don't care. I just sincerely don't give a damn about what you're going to say here. It just works. And that's the thing. And it's supposed to be simple. And that's simple. The rest, I don't care. Don't come starting that big, there's going to be a 2 dB loss of what's. I don't care. I don't care. Go tell it to somebody else. Oh, God. What else do we have? John, nice to have you on board from Youngstown, Ohio. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Just think, had barbecue and baked potatoes, real butter, corn on the cob, green beans, home bake, blackberry cobbler with ice cream. Oh man, we're all gonna get fat just reading the comments. Joe, nice to have you here from Northwest Ohio. Rich, nice to have you here from North Carolina. Whoops, I lost. Gustavo Bernardez, nice to have you here from Venezuela. Shelly, now you guys have made me hungry for cobbler. Chris Lloyd, nice to have you here from the UK. Pretty cool to have on board, my friends. And nice to have you here, my friends. Wizard of Oz, nice to have you on board, Hazi. KC9 TVN. Belka DX came today. Cool. Have you started playing around with it a little bit? Nice to have you here. Yeah, Rich, exactly. Pigtails when they're not very long, and that HF frequency is really, really not critical. When you get into the VHF and UHF high frequencies, it starts to get a little more problematic, but in general, it's not a problem. You know, it's like I understand that there are losses when you connect certain stuff in certain ways, and you know, and when I see people telling me, well, you know, you tested 3 radios with 3 alligator clips and blah blah blah, I'm like, yeah, they're all okay, and my tests were fine. Okay, like it's nothing scientific. But now they can't complain because I got the multi-coupler with all the antennas with the same antenna, same connector, you know. But they do complain about other things because they look at my cable and they're like, well, I'm pretty sure that you bought that cable on Amazon. It must have a mismatch in the you know, probably not 50 ohms. And it's like, once again, I don't care. I don't care. They work. That's all. There are things that are important, absolutely. But I mean, come on, guys. When people get too picky of, yeah, well, that thing is not 50 ohms, I'm pretty sure. I'd like to measure that. I don't care. Very plain and simple. I don't care. KW1161, nice to have you here from sunny Tucson, Arizona. Nice to have you on board, my friends. And I'll throw it here once because I won't annoy everybody with that. What is going to happen is that I am going to purchase a Texan H501X. That thing is going to come up to about 450 Canadian dollars with shipping and everything. So I posted on the Facebook group, if you guys want to help out, just posted the PayPal. If you want to help out in giving a few bucks to help me cover some of the cost, it would be greatly appreciated. And that would help me out as I will be purchasing that from my own money. And of course, reviewing it, talking about it. And if you guys want to know what I think about it, somebody today in the Facebook group said, well, you know, with all the people watching you, I don't want, you know, why aren't you getting, you know, trials or like loaned copies of these radios or, you know, the one given to you to talk about? And you know what? I don't want that because the way you can be fair in a review is by purchasing your stuff so that if it's bad, you just say it's a piece of trash because you don't owe anybody anything. And that's the best way to be free of, you know, biased reviews. And, you know, I'm okay with the fact that a lot of people do get loaned versions of radios to test out. And I'm sure that a lot of them are as fair as possible, but how fair will you be knowing that if you say that radio is a piece of trash, you'll never get one again from that company? When you purchase your own stuff and talk about it, I don't owe anybody anything. I just say as it is. Example is the Sangean ATS 909X2. I just say it as it is. I don't owe Sangean anything. I already found, apart from the radios being beautiful, I already personally found that, ATS 909X before was okay, could be so much better. And the kilohertz off was kind of turning me off. There's a few things on the X2 that's turning me off also. And you know what? I say it as it is, and that's it. We got to stop. I say it from time to time. Stop sugarcoating stuff because they are expensive and we bought it, and that means that it should be the best thing in the world. It's not. The Sangean ATS 909X2 is okay. It's not the best thing in the world. Far from it. There's so many other radios I would tell you to buy before buying that, honestly. But it has some really nice, it's a very beautiful looking radio, that's for sure. And it has some interesting features, but, So by buying a radio yourself, you are able to say, that it's simply, what it is, because you have the possibility to do so. I don't want to have radios given by companies in general, because I will say exactly as it is, and I know that maybe you're not going to be happy with what I have to say. So, I did have a couple, and I probably will have more given to me in the future, that's for sure. But I'll still say it as it is. But I will mention when I get a radio that, I got it from a manufacturer. When I got it from somebody like the Sangeans, Kevin sent me the radio. So it's like, it's not a company that sent me the radio. So I don't owe Sangean anything special. So I can say what I think freely. But, sometimes it happens that I do get a radio from a manufacturer. The SDR Play, for example. I'm not pushing SDR Play because they gave me an RSPDX free. It's because I honestly think it's good. There's something that did change a little bit on the SDR Play, that I'll have to say. Since my discount is up, a lot of the signals are so strong that I actually have to really push the RF gain down quite a lot for my RSPDX to be able to work. So it seems to be overloading a lot on the VHF, UHF range. So it's something I didn't see with the mobile vertical. It didn't happen with that one. So it's kind of interesting, For the rest, I want to stay as fair as possible with radio. So anyways, I won't annoy, I posted once on the Facebook group. I will just post it once tonight here. If you guys want to help me out on my PayPal to towards the purchase of a Texan H501X, please do so. And whatever is left, I will pay from my pocket. And just to give you guys an idea, to be very fair, right now I've got $73 donated for the H501X. So whatever is missing, I'll be purchasing it from my pocket. It's like the Texan PL990X. You guys came through. I paid almost half of the price was paid by my pocket, and half for donations, which was kind of cool. But we'll be able to talk about it. So the H501X is going to be available on. It will be available on May 16th. So as soon as it's available, which is Sunday, as soon as it's available, I'm ordering one, and they're pretty fast shipping. So in a few days after, I should get it. Chris Lloyd says airband's quite good here, not been on much, been busy. Cool. What else do we have? Flectors is up. Another way to price Texan H51X. 30XX, another gold brick for the wall. KWN61, you should really enjoy the Belka DX like I do mine. I'll be checking to maybe get one, honestly. Wizard of Oz, too new to say, but I don't think it's going to match my Malahite DSP. Huh, interesting. Okay. So, no, it doesn't record, which I find sad because with an SD card reader, man, they should have so much put a recorder in there for sure. Chess Tank, when you purchase the radio and give your thoughts, you're right. You don't owe anybody anything and can give an honest thought on it. Yeah, that's why I want to purchase them rather than have them given, So no, I'll get the one, the more standard one. Nothing fancy. Tom the Xer, I bought the H501X. It was basically a 909X with an extra speaker. Are there many additional features on the 501? So I have seen a post where somebody is mentioning that medium wave, long wave is better on the H501X. Also, that the firmware version, which means that the internal programming is different, apparently helps in some way. I've even seen something about the AGC being softer, and that the single sideband is not as wobbly as the 990X when signals are very strong. So there's a few things that I've seen that seem to be different. So kind of interesting. We'll see anyways, and we'll see how it goes. Of course, I purchased it, and the main reason is for the review and then checking it out and giving you guys an idea of what it is. And if some of you look at it and say, well, maybe I want it, maybe I don't. Hopefully with what I have to say, what I'll say on it, you have an idea if you stay away from it or not, John says, is the XH D808 still a good radio to buy? You'll get an amazing radio. Still of mine. I was this week when I tested it against the Texan PL330. Shows how good both are. And I mean, if you get an XH Data D808, you're getting a great radio. It's one of the best radios out there for shortwave, I can tell you. Dave Dufault, nice to have you on board from Indy. Matt, weird. 5830 is transmitting, but it was going on and off rapidly. It just stopped entirely. Maybe some kind of problem there. The export. What was your opinion on using the R30 antenna on the Malahite or ATS20? Well, it seemed to be working well, honestly. I tested it a little bit. It seemed to be working well. So I guess it seems to be a good antenna for these devices. Rich, fixed recorder and fixed sync. Not much to ask for that price. Absolutely, you're right. You're totally right. Skip N2EI says ARRL purchases radios for tests and then auctions them off after testing. That's good. That's a good way of doing it. Honestly, that's a pretty good way of doing it, because by purchasing the radios, they can be real honest in their reviews. So it's a really good way of doing things. Personally, I don't want to auction them off or anything, because I had them to my collection, and it's kind of, I got the collection of a lot of radios that I'm probably going to have it a little better placed, because I'm rethinking a few things, because in the next few weeks I'll be kind of removing parts of the office here. So this part is going to stay, but that part that is like a big mess right now, that I'm looking at when I do the live shows, is going to be different. And I was thinking, I don't know, maybe shelves or something that could have a better way of having my nice collection of receivers, portable receivers, and all of that. So, but it's kind of interesting. Device 9 recently got an RTL SDR V3, and now I'm wondering if it's worth buying an up converter for HF instead of using direct sampling. Do you think it's worth doing? Noticeable improvements? If you had to do that, I would tell you to buy something like an RSP1A from SDR Play. You'd be directly on, for shortwave and everything, and have a good device and no fiddling, because the RTL SDR, you got to fiddle with the driver and everything, especially in Windows. These devices are like so much more interesting, because it's plug and play. Put SDR in, it just works. No going crazy about anything, because when you're at the RTL is the RV3, and then you decide you want to have an up converter for HF rather than using direct sampling, you're getting to the price of an RSP1A, so which is a better choice anyway. Aerial imaging. I'm always curious what the rest of that room looks like. Oh man, it's a big mess right now. A big mess. But eventually it's going to be nice, because I've got my retro computer. So I've got an Amiga 500, a Commodore 128, an Atari 1040 ST there, connected to a screen. So what I'm going to do is that's going to be like the retro gaming side. There's an old storage thing that has tons of things I don't use. I'm looking at it. I'm like, you could just throw away all of that garbage and make place for something better. I gotta say. What do we have? Christian Marcoux, does the XH Data D808 have a sync type option? Nope. It has kind of an ATS, but it's not an ETM button. It's mostly a scan and stop at the frequency it finds. I would say, Christian, if you want to have a upgrade that's not too expensive to the PL380 with ETM options and all of that, the Texan PL330 would be a great, that would be a step forward. It is probably a little more sensitive than the 380, and has single sideband, which the 380 doesn't. So you're really actually getting an upgrade for the price, which is almost the same as the price of a 380 anyway. So that would be an upgrade version of your 380s. And that said, you would be able to have that pigtail connector for the with the 330 that has an external antenna port anyways. Burmy Steve, nice to have you here from Birmingham, UK. XH D808 is great for airband as well. So yep, that is another option that it has, which is the airband. Absolutely. D-Export, Ethon Radio told me they are still planning to release Ethon satellite this year, but I'm not holding my breath waiting. Yeah, there's a lot of we're not really sure, actually. Dimitri, what kind you use antenna to listen airband 160, the lowest of amateur bands? So what kind you used antenna to listen airband? 160 megahertz, lowest of amateur band. I'm not sure I'm not sure about your question here. So you talk about airband, 160 megahertz. So because the airband is between 108 and 136 megahertz. And the lowest amateur radio band, 160 meters. I usually tune with my MLA30 loop, which works surprisingly well there to listen to those lower frequencies. So I don't know if I answered your question here. Boyd, nice to have you here. Still love my Sony ICF 2010. So it's a great radio, honestly. You don't need anything else. Todd, KJ7JHH, nice to have you here. Yogi, nice to have you on board. Anyone here tried using a QRM eliminator? Looks pretty impressive so far in a few of the YouTube videos. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things that kind of uses two antennas. One to match with the noise around you, and then the other one to receive a signal, and it kind of tries to null out all the noise by matching what is around you. Bruce says, any comments about the upcoming Sunspot cycle, and are you looking forward to it? I'm getting back into radio since 1980s, thanks to you. So the solar cycle that's coming up to now, what is the prediction is that it's going to be a small cycle like we had last time, which was a very small cycle. But, a lot of people go crazy. It's like, oh, another small cycle. Look, it doesn't take that much for a cycle to actually do a lot on the shortwave bands. And a solar cycle can be rather small and still pack a lot of fun listening to the radios. I'm not one of those people that go too crazy on solar cycles because I hear so much stuff with or without the fact we are at the top of the cycle. What will improve is the higher frequencies, that definitely. So, more openings on 10 meters and stuff like that for those that love that. Some better propagation possibly on 19, 16 meters, 15, 17 megahertz, or international broadcasts. But for the rest, lower frequencies, 49, 41 meter band isn't that affected by high or low solar cycles. Those frequencies usually are pretty much in range of just being always pretty good. So there are some advantages, that's for sure, but we don't overhype it, because you'll see that the higher frequencies are there, but it might not be that amazing unless you have specific needs of whatever band. 10 meter band fans, for example, want it to arrive because they're going to want to have 10 meters open more often. But there's going to be some increase in higher frequencies, that's for sure. But have fun with whatever is happening, because there's always something to listen to. And apart from sometimes when there's disturbances, like today we had a G3 storm, in general, the bands are not that bad. And I think too many people are not seeing the reality that the bands are dead sometimes, not necessarily because of solar activity, but because in the case of ham bands, not enough people are calling CQ. And in the case of international broadcasting, especially in North America, a lot of stations are not broadcasting towards our area anymore. Signals are weaker. So what is actually being more of a problem? It ain't the solar cycle. It's the noise around us. It's way more of a problem than the solar cycle itself. Honestly, if I had a choice between staying at the minimum of a solar cycle forever and no noise, or having the noise we have now and have solar maximum, I choose no more solar cycles. Let's stay at the minimum, but with zero noise. And you'll be amazed at what you can hear. And you'll be amazed that you hear a lot more than you probably hear right now, because there's no noise around it to wash it out. This is the main reason. We can see it in NSDR in general. So you can see, for example, if I look here, there's something on 71 and 7280 there. So if I click on 7280, okay, I'm gonna make that bigger. So let's go make this bigger. 72. Whoops, I'll do something here. So 7280, there's a signal there, and then I'm gonna go on it. There's a signal in 7280. You can hear that in the noise. There's even a carrier if you listen closely. Unfortunately, you're not making it out. There's also a ham. You're not making it out. What's making this impossible for me to listen to is that noise. Remove the power, and there's no more interference around here. That noise floor will drop, and that signal is going to be there, audible, and you'll be able to listen to it clearly. Go in a park far from homes with, if I take my portable radio and I would go out to a park where there's no one, no homes around, no businesses, I tell you, I'll be listening to 7280 easily. What's the problem here isn't propagation. What's the problem here is the noise floor versus the signals that are weaker because they're not broadcasting towards North America very often. Makes a really bad combination. So when somebody tells me I'm not hearing anything, so there must be nothing there. Well, no, there's probably a lot of stuff there. You have too much noise around you. And immediately, and anybody that has done it immediately tells you, I went out to the woods. I went out to a park. I went out with my radio somewhere. Noise was very, very low. And I could hear so many signals. And that's the thing. Remove the noise. You'll be surprised at the amount of signals there's on the 40-meter band that you're not even hearing, and on any frequency range. So we have to be careful, because I think a lot of people misleading ideas are that the solar cycle being, we're still just barely off the minimum, is why conditions are not that great, when in reality the conditions are not that great because there's too much noise around you, which is a very different thing. So for the rest, the solar cycle is actually climbing a little faster than it should. So that means that seems to be getting going faster towards solar maximum. So it's going to be interesting to see what it brings, and as the solar maximum and as the solar flux and all of that rises slowly, the changes in propagation. Dave, why are other active loops 5 times the price of the MLA30? A lot of them are often, first of all, most of the loops, like in my W6LVP, is not made in China. And that makes a huge difference already in the price. So I'll compare it with my W6LVP, which I have here, okay, which is the backyard right now. My W6LVP, I can't really see much of an improvement over an MLA30, which shows me that, you know what, it's not worth paying that amount of money for a loop. So the first thing, why the price? Well, MLA30 is made in China. Obviously, that's a huge difference already in price. If an MLA30 would be made in the US, it'd be probably double the price, if not more. The other thing is, in the construction itself, the W6LVP loop has a big, sturdy loop to it. It's a bigger loop. It's made in the US by, some guy, Larry, W6LVP. all of that, the way it's made and everything, and the bias T box is a metal box, not a plastic box. With comes with a power supply. There are things that naturally, when you look at the way it is, yeah, okay, it's more expensive because of of the way it's built. So if the MLA30, for example, would come with the same build quality, if you want, of the W6LVP, even if it's made in China, it probably already would be double the price minimum because of the way it's done. So there are, cost cutting in the MLA30. That loop is a thin metal, aluminum wire or something, or stainless steel or something, compared to W6LVP. So at first glance, when you look at both, the W6LVP looks sturdier, looks more, more capable of weathering the elements and so on. It's more handmade, and it's made in the US, or Walbrooks, I think, are made in the UK. It's a very different place to make stuff, so the prices aren't the same. So that makes them more expensive. Because for the rest, it's just a loop with a low noise amplifier. And it's my personal opinion, but I don't see why anybody should buy something else than an MLA30, because they're way too expensive. And I know there's a lot of people have a lot of different ways of purchasing stuff. So some people in the US might say, well, yeah, I know it's expensive, but I'm having some guy from the US make it for me. I'm creating work from the US. It's made here. I'm proud to have it made here. I get all of that. I understand that there's that way of thinking that goes behind it and everything. It's just that I find that it's expensive for what it is, especially when you've got the MLA30. And there's a lot more, everybody is a different way. And some people don't like to buy Chinese stuff, and it's up to you, honestly. I'm not bashing the loops. I'm saying they're too expensive for what they are, because they're not really better than the MLA30 in general. That said, if you got a W6LVP, if you got a Walbrook, if you got any loop that you purchase and you're happy with it, honestly, that's all that it counts. And for the rest, you're listening to Shortwave, you got that loop, it's okay. It's, I'm not going to say, hey, you got screwed. No. I got screwed. I'll say it personally. I did get screwed. W6LVP loop is way too expensive for what it is. And I do think that's being screwed. But that's my opinion of my W6LVP purchase. My own opinion on this, because somebody actually has sent me a message saying, well, you got screwed. And my reply was, well, not really, for a very simple reason. If I talk about an MLA30 loop and its performance, and I cannot compare it to anything better or anything that is supposed to be better and is more expensive, I can't really have an honest opinion on its performance versus something else. And even though I will not buy another expensive loop ever, one of the things, at least, that I have here as a way of being able to give an honest opinion is my W6LVP. I have one. I have paid big price for it. I know what is a W6LVP. I know what's an expensive loop does. I know that the W6LVP, I've seen quite a few tests with the Walbrook. They are almost equal. which means the MLA30 is equal to all of that roughly. Not perfectly. There are differences in certain ranges. I do think possibly a medium wave DXer or a long wave DXer has better performance on a Wellbrook or a W6 LVP, because I do see a pattern of where the MLA30, when it goes below a certain level, actually does have a loss of sensitivity. 160 meter band seems to be better on my W6 LVP loop than it is on the MLA30. Not by much, but enough to be noticeable. Now, I can't test medium wave. Once again, I have these filters inside my my W6 LVP that prevents me from testing medium wave and long wave. So there might be an advantage of getting the more expensive loops. If you're a medium wave, long wave DXer, possibly. And maybe it's because they're bigger. The loop is actually larger than the MLA30, so maybe that's giving them an advantage on low frequencies. But honestly, for shortwave, I don't see why you'd buy anything else. And when somebody comes back to me and says, you know, my MLA30 outdoor has been doing 2 winters, it's been there for a while now. It works perfectly well still. I almost see more wear and tear on my W6 LVP after 2 winters. The connector at the bottom has kind of started to kind of rust, things like that. You know, I don't know. What I will say is when somebody says, well, you know, that thing looks flimsy. Well, that flimsy thing passed 2 winters, winter storms, ice storms, thunderstorms, real powerful thunderstorms in the summer with high winds. It withstood being outside at, you know, 90 degree, 100 degree, full sunlight, summer, you know, madness, minus 30 degrees, winter madness. It still works. And the loop bends with the wind, but works great. I don't see why, you know. And you have the idea. It's like, I mean, my W6 LVP loop came up to Canadian, like, you know, close to $500. A MLA30 in Canadian dollars is about $60. I can get, you know, 8 MLA30s for the price of one W6 LVP. So the idea behind it is, even if it gave away, you know, every 2 years, I still can buy one every 2 years for the next 16 years, and still it will just match the price of a W6 LVP. But honestly, like I said, I'm not bashing the more expensive loops. I'm just saying that my personal observations give me that point of view. But these more expensive loops are not bad. They are great. They work great. They're just more expensive because they're not made in China, and they're, you know, often made a little more like, you know, made by some guy somewhere in his garage or something, you know. Prices are not the same, that's for sure, you know. That's mostly the thing. Personally, I will not, you know, buy another expensive loop. I would not tell people to buy one. But it's up to you, because maybe some of you say, well, you know, I'd like to have a Wellbrook, or I'd like to have a W6 LVP. And you know, I won't say, you know, don't do it. If that's what you want, you're getting a great loop anyway. And if it brings you back to the hobby, cool. You know, it's up to you. That's more of a personal decision, because they perform well anyways. What the MLA30 brings, and that's where I probably really find this real cool. I mean, I will get that if you've got a $3,000 icon or more, you want to have a Walbrook or a W6 LVP. Well, price of the antenna versus price of your radio, that's okay. But try to explain to somebody that's going to come up to me and say, I got an XH Data D808. What good antenna can I put up in my noisy environment? Don't tell that person, buy a Walbrook. Yeah, you're going to buy an antenna that's 5 times the price of your radio for shortwave listening. I can already see the face of that person saying, what, are you crazy or something? The MLA30, and that's the huge advantage of it, brings a affordable magnetic loop antenna that is extremely decent. And at a price tag that makes it affordable and not a crazy purchase versus the price of the radio you have. And you know what? It's amazing. When I see somebody bashing the MLA30 or whatever, I mean, look at the forums of those people that buy these big, expensive loops. None of them talk about the MLA30, and I'm sure a lot of them know it exists. Almost as if it's an exclusive clubs of, these are the loops to buy. The expensive loops are the best in the world. Oh, well. But remember one thing. You want our hobby to stay alive, you're going to have to adjust to the fact that when you buy a $100 radio, you're not going to buy a $300 loop at all. You're just going to stop listening to the radio. You say, wow, the hell with this. But if you buy a $100 radio and you get a $45 loop to make it better, it's in a range where maybe I'm going to keep some people in our hobby because it's affordable. And affordable today is the key word to having our hobby continue. Because not a lot of people out there are going to tell you, I'm going to go buy that $2,000 radio today. And without saying you're crazy to do so, because there are reasons. And if I had a lot of cash, I probably would have a Nikon CRD 600 here. I would probably go and fetch one of those expensive radios. But that's me. And that's probably for the same reason that you'd have somebody buying a Walbrook. That's you. It's okay. But you start getting an RSP-1A, an RSPDX from SDR Play, sorry, or you get an AirSpy HF Plus. I'm going to tell you, these things are killer devices. They are extremely amazing in performance. And that's where you start questioning, wow, with a device like this, am I ever going to buy a new tabletop, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 receiver? I mean, when you start using this, and I've got a Nikon CRD 500 here. It's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. You start noticing, you know what? I don't see that much of a difference between one and the other when in the same environment in the same place. It's crazy today. Our hobby is kind of in a shakeup, basically, with all of these differences and all these things. So anyways, hey, 20 minutes of talking of only one question about the expensive loops. Jason Francis, nice to have you here from Ottawa, Canada. Ken, which RTL SDR or others begin to work better than a portable or desktop? Well, an SDR Play device like the RSP-1A or RSPDX or AirSpy HF Plus will definitely be a step forward and better than a portable in many aspects, mostly because of the waterfall. They perform really well on outdoor antennas. As for desktop versus SDR, so I know there's and that I can't judge because I don't have one. There are some people that have these more expensive Perseus SDRs and everything, and I know some of the big gun DXers out there, tend to say, well, no, the Perseus is superior to those lower priced SDR. And in all fairness, I cannot comment on that because I have no Perseus, and all I can attest to is what these people are saying, because I guess they know it. They have one, and they probably tested lower performance devices to compare, and it's possible. I will not, have a situation on that. One of the things that that I will say is that an SDR play device, an AirSpy HF Plus, when I compare my ICOM and my RSPDX here, my ICOM costs $2,000. My RSPDX here, which I got free, I have to admit, but if I had purchased it, I would have paid it roughly 250-ish to 75 Canadian dollars. I don't see that much of a difference, or not enough of a difference for listening on my ICOM on shortwave rather than my RSPDX. In all fairness, my ICOM is a wideband receiver, and I will say that on my new discount, yes, my ICOM handles signals much better than the RSPDX here, which is more overloaded, obviously, when I plug it in. That said, playing around with the RF gain, I get enough sensitivity to receive roughly the same signals. But I have to say that these lower priced SDRs, be it an SDR play device or an AirSpy device, are quite amazing in performance today. So, it's kind of interesting when you look at that, honestly. So, like I said, Dave, for the jump in price, for the big difference in price, yeah, I personally don't think it's worth to have those more expensive loops. The export says CU-Odon now has the sharp black version. Yeah, it is. CU-Odon is the same as the XH data. It's the same thing. It's a CU-Odon D808, but it's an XH data. It's the same radio, basically. Yeah, for AM mode, absolutely, Dr. Sisop, because starting 108, there's these. It's a different thing. The AM mode, the one that we listen to the planes, is 118 to 136 or something like that. Absolutely. RCW Radio, nice to have you on board. Can you pick up a small carrier on 6925? Anything here? Small carrier on 6925. Not even a small carrier. Not even a little peep of signal. Let's zoom back out a little bit because I'm zoomed in quite a lot here. Here we go. So nothing on 6925. Wizard of Oz got 3 Texan radios. The PL330 keeps impressing me. I have to say, it is impressive. I totally agree. Totally agree. Estrella Garcia, nice to have you here, Estrella. Matt, I have the ANC4. I have limited effectiveness now, but expect more when I can get 1 or 2 more antennas and a switch for it. The X Bandit video reviews so far have the H501X right on frequency on sideband. Well, it probably has the like the Texan PL 990X probably has the calibration feature, so it keeps you up to date, keeps you up on the frequency, and that's pretty cool for sure. So thanks for the donations, guys. I've now for the Texan H501 purchase. I'm at a $102. So that means that still $350 out of my pocket, but we'll be getting that. That's for sure. Kimberly was listening to 40 meters last night when it pretty much shut down. So yeah, when things happen or when these conditions, because there's a lot of little flares on the sun. So I think it's one of those flares that hit the Earth's geomagnetic field today. Butterbean, for those of us who transmit on HF, the sun cycle is everything for sure. Yes and no. It's overhyped. We got to be careful. On higher frequencies, absolutely. But on lower frequencies, not that much. But definitely, if you're looking for 10 meter activity or 15 meters, that definitely the solar cycle will improve it. But we got to be careful. Gatsunga says the bands are dead because I don't have my license. I'd be there all the time talking. Yeah, I need to check it out this fall. You know, I had subscribed to get my license for an April course, and they never came back to me, which I found weird. So it's like maybe I was the only one that subscribed, and they're like, well, the hell with it. But I never got news back, which is sad because I would have followed that course in April. So, anyways, well, I'll be looking at other ways of doing it. What else do we have? Yogi, good morning to you. Listening to Radio New Zealand Pacific 15720 on a Sony boombox. Cool. 161 NK001. Nice to have you here. Where are you located, my friends? So, Jason V9. Yeah, but atmospheric conditions are not, today, yes, the bands are dead, but in general, they're not, they don't have that much of a problem. I can tell you that. The bands are dead because nobody's calling CQ and too much noise, much more than anything else. I tell you, solar cycles are overhyped. I've been listening for 40 years next year. There were ups and there were downs, and I had as much fun in the down than in the up. I can tell you that. We got to be careful, except for the high frequencies. Once again, yes, the higher solar cycles, when you're at the peak, 10 meters open, 15 meters open, these bands really, really enjoy the added activity, and that's for sure. But I think a lot of people are misled today with solar cycle and noise, and a lot of people not being on the bands because of, how many times I've heard, oh, well, we're at the minimum. I'm going to turn on my ham radio in 3 years. Well, you obviously don't know what propagation is all about if you do that, because I hear the world on ham radio operators in the past couple of years, and we were at solar minimum, and I was hearing the world on the amateur bands. It's untrue that you're not, you're not getting the world. Yes, you adjust yourself because 10 meters is not open very often. There's e-skip when it does. Stuff like that. If you like 10 meters, yeah, I understand that solar cycle minimum is kind of a downer because it doesn't open very often on 10 meters. But We got to be careful with that. There's a lot of overhype of the solar cycle. Joseph Richard, nice to have you on board from South Portland, Maine. And I hope you're all doing well this evening. Absolutely. Everybody's having fun with radio. Kimberly. There's a ham that commented also about the sudden condition. You can only hear about 3 hams on the entire 40-meter band. Oh, yeah, when conditions go bad for some reason because of geomagnetic activity and so on. Man, things, and it's funny sometimes how also things are great, and in the space of a couple of minutes, suddenly everything changes. Pretty crazy. What else do we have? Butterbean talked to the INSI 500 special event station. VA2 WLT Walter. There's some Cummingans who complain the bands are dead are also those who complain that there's too much digital modes. Yeah. There's a lot of that's for sure. There's a lot of people complaining of these modes. You got to get up with the times. These modes exist and they exist and they will continue to exist. I'm not turned on by these modes, but I can understand people. These modes bring something that, ham radio operators, not everybody has that two kilowatt, amplifier for the RF signal and everything. I mean, those that do are the ones we hear all the time. That guy S57DX in Serbia or something. I mean, that guy is Serbia, Slovenia, I don't know, but that guy we hear all the time. He's like dominant everywhere because he's always running maximum power. It's like the broadcast station of the ham bands. Yeah, there are people that are like that, and we hear them everywhere. The majority of hams are not there. A majority of hams have, a lot of them have only the basic power of their transceiver. And, try to compete with a 2 kilowatt station when you have 100 watts is a little hard. And it's not impossible, but it's something. One of the things that FT8, I think, is appealing. 2 things are appealing to FT8. I've said it so many times. A lot of people do not want to talk. There are people that are not, they are shy, and talking on the ham bands with, is something that is kind of rough for them to do. And there's a lot more hams than you think that are not, comfortable talking on the ham bands. So that's one thing that FT8 and digital modes get is, and FT8 maybe even more, because FT8 is very simple exchange of contacts. You just don't have to talk. You're exchanging your contacts info, and you've got a contact with some station somewhere. And I think that appeals to a lot of people that just don't want to talk. The other thing is, for people that have very modest power in stations, finally, they can DX. Finally, they go out there and they're going to come back happy because it's like, I got a contact tonight with, Argentina or South Africa or, some Japan. Something that voice SSB at 100 watts is a tough one. Not impossible, but a tough one. So I understand why there's an appeal in FT8, and it's fine. Because what do you want? You want to have no FT8 and people just give up and say, hey, to hell with amateur radio? That's not what I want, and that's not the thing. And when somebody complains, too much FT8, the bands are dead everywhere, why don't you just call CQ and be part of the activity of whatever you want to do, rather than complain that some other hams are doing what they like in their own respective ham hobby. Because that's what it is. It's like people in CW. I know hams that are starting in Morse code, never talked. Never, ever. They found their love in CW sending Morse code. It's the only thing they want to do. They don't care about the rest of the hobby. They're in love with Morse code. That's the way they do ham radio. What, are you going to start complaining that, oh, well, you could be talking to us? Yeah, they are in CW because that's what they like. I hate people complaining about an aspect of the hobby. It's always something that bothers me. Is like, stop whining about who does what in the hobby and just do what you want to do instead of complaining about it, because it's annoying, because I hear these guys. I don't know how many times I was tuning and like, oh, those FD8 guys killing the hobby. It's like, hey, you're killing the hobby with your whining. I almost said it. So, come on. Everybody does the hobby the way they want. That's the way it is. That's all it is. And be happy with their hobby. But stop complaining if some people are doing certain modes and so on. Keegan heard WWV in 25 megahertz before noon on the 9th. Okay, cool. Matrix 54X just ordered a Texan PL 990. What do you think? Great radio. You're going to love it. Jason V9JMC, listening 7928. And the crew, usually WA3FET as well as K1CL, I think, Skull. Cool. What else do we have? Yeah, I've seen some people change the size of the loop on the MLA30, which doesn't really do much. The problem is that changing the loop size changes its properties, because the tuning and the frequency range it's meant for is linked to also the size of the loop that comes with it. But like I always say, try it and see what happens. FT8 is you cannot technically chat really on FT8 because it's a certain amount of characters that you're sending out. So it's an exchange of call signs. Sometimes there will be people kind of commenting, so you'll see a few words commenting about something, but it's the way that it's designed and the amount of characters that you could send, it's really not making it very easy to have a chat on FT8. It's really mostly a call sign swap and a contact info. Dave Dufault, I would pay twice the price for the better build than the MLA30, but 5 times does not justify for me. Yeah. I mean, if a W6 LVP that I have would be twice the price of an MLA30, but with a more sturdy build like it does, maybe I would do it. But, ECAT. A month ago, I got myself a Malachite DSP SDR radio without case. It's great. Cool. What else do we have? What else do we have? Aerial imaging. I think the MLA30 does outstanding on medium wave. Yeah, well, what I'm saying is not that it's bad. I can't say it's bad on medium wave. The only thing that I'm saying is I seem to find that as I go lower in frequency, a loop like the W6 LVP seems to be more sensitive. So, What else do we have? Jason, put up a long wire to hear more. Yeah, if you don't have noise, because that's the biggest problem. If you got noise, long wires don't work. You just get more noise. That's where loops are fun. But in a quiet environment, absolutely. Just put a wire, a long wire, or whatever. But it's not just a question. You got to be careful, Jason, because it's not a question of space. It's not just a question of space. Because a dipole or a long wire or wire antenna in a noisy environment, it's crappy as hell. That's what I have here. I had a sloper, I had 100 feet wire. These don't work and will not work for ham radio at all. That's where you really need to have like a loop. It's the only way you're going to get ham radio working. Because you are probably in a quiet environment. You are capable of listening in rather quiet conditions where you are. But most of us are not in that environment. We're in the noisy environment where 100 feet of wire, 100 feet of more noise. That's all. And it's not going to give us anything. When I compare my sloper in the backyard that I had, or even a long wire, with the loop, my loop brings in a lot more than a long wire. The long wire, it's there, but it brings so much noise with it that it doesn't work. So it's not a question of a space. It's also a question of how much noise you got around you. Jim, KN6BRK loves this MLA30 with the RSP1A. That's a great combination. Chris66, nice to have you here. Aerial imaging, I think there's a benefit of the portability of the MLA30 as well. Yes, absolutely. It's easy to move along. It's even easy to bring on a DXpedition, honestly. I've moved mine all over the property on the battery bank, and I'll probably pack it down and take it with me somewhere. Absolutely. That is the definite positive point of the MLA30 also. So that's for sure. Drake R8, it's an amazing radio. Absolutely. Broad's Killing says, I like to focus on value. It works for me. Heck, the cool thing for me is the ability to hear signals from far away, and international news. PL330 does it. Yep. Chastang says, I've had more fun experimenting with building and testing antennas over buying store-bought items, but that's me. Yeah, but not everybody is also on that side of things of building antennas and building things. We're not all at the same place there. Some people do like that. Some people build their own loops rather than purchasing one. And that's the fun that they have. Absolutely. And that's cool. I mean, if you build your own loop, somebody that builds his own amplified magnetic loop, for example, it's cool. Cool. You build it yourself. It's even more interesting. But not everybody's there. So you got to have, for everybody, even in the ham bands. I mean, in the ham bands, a lot of hams build their antennas. A lot of hams build commercial antennas or use commercial antennas because they're already made, they're already done. KX2U radio, nice to have you on board. Just bought a Yaesu DX10 about a month ago. And it's got the N991A as well. And Elenco DX9 is in the box. Canish quote says, digital chips are terrible, but unfortunately, analog devices are mostly dead. Are there any analog devices you can buy new from the manufacturer like Panasonic? Digital chips are not terrible at all. Actually, a lot the DSP-based receivers, apart from the tuning, muting, and the tuning that most of radios have with them, are actually amazing radios. If you buy a Texan PL990X, they are based on two technologies: the analog PLL on a layer and the DSP chip on a layer, and you will have an amazing radio there. You don't need an old analog radio to have great performance. These have great performance and are great for what they are. That I can tell you. Jim, KN6BRK, RSP1A109 plus MLA3040. Good cheap combo. Absolutely. Bonne nuit, TVDXer, SMZ. Fais attention à toi. So, it's interesting. PayPal, I'll put it again. PayPal. That's for the, I'll put it here. Texan 501 each 501 X fund. I just put the Yahoo email for the fund for the Texan H501X purchase that will come this Sunday. So thanks, guys, for the donations. Really appreciate it. What else do we have? JD Dakota, put something up, must come down. I would like to build something like on Hogan's Heroes, or like what I saw on an episode of Stranger Things. Oh yeah, when he I like the kid when he goes in that, it's in the third season, when he has the antenna up in the middle of the field and he's getting those Russian transmissions. It's just funny. What else do we have? Aerial imaging, yeah, SDRs are as good as expensive laptops. For me, though, I have to also build in the cost of the PC. Well, that's one thing we have to understand here. I've said it a few times in the past. We look at the price of an SDR, say at $150, but it's running also on a multi-$100 computer. You got to count that as a whole and say, well, I've got depending on the computer you're using, here it's honestly, if I would have purchased the RSPDX and that mini computer together, that's in reality a $800-$900 radio, because the computer costs an amount of money. That's for sure. That's for sure. What else do we have? RGA Dakota says something I really would use. Don't have room for a long wire antenna. Also, yeah, homeowners agreement things are crazy with antennas for sure. Wizard of Oz says we all end up in the same place. Is the airplane MLA 30 plus? Yeah. VT radio picking up a Yankee game full scale on AM 660. Yes, from New York. From New York. Device 9. I have less than $40 into this RDL SDR Plus. And though not perfect, it's perfectly amazing compared to anything before this tech. Oh, absolutely. The RTL SDR V3, for the price that it is, beats a lot of crappy radios that ever existed that you could purchase that were even more expensive than that. It's quite amazing still, Jet Crafter, nice to have you here. Good evening. Watching me on a 75-inch TV. I'm not sure I want to see my face on a 75-inch TV, but welcome aboard. What else do we have? I'm not sure I would purchase anything from Philips on Amazon India. I can tell you that. These are probably very basic receivers today. Dave, I do think the storm has had some effect today. I can still get signals, but maybe not as strong as last week. Oh, yeah. When there's a geomagnetic storm, one of the things you got to understand is that it's not immediate that it fixes everything. Sometimes it takes quite a few hours before things settle down slowly, for sure. So, yeah, it's possible that it could be noisier tonight. Kimberly, I agree, Joel. No matter where we are in the solar cycle, you got to call CQ. I have made some amazing contacts at the bottom. Absolutely. Absolutely. ENG, a son. I want to buy it on Amazon. What do you want to buy on Amazon? 123 ABC. Is BL990 still your favorite? Yeah, it's out there in my top favorites. Absolutely. Still, as I would say, as every day, I'd give you an example. When it's beautiful and I'm going outside on the balcony with just a little portable and the telescopic, my hand naturally goes towards the Texan PL990X, and I'm going on the balcony with that radio. It is still what I use. It's S51. Thanks, Jason. I said S57, but it's S51DX. And it's not Slovakia, it's Slovenia. Slovakia is a different prefix. S51DX is in Slovenia. And he's got 1,500 watts of Yagi antenna. It's like that guy is heard everywhere. And not everybody's on that type of, of amateur radio output. But it's not Slovakia, it's Slovenia. It's F50. I mean, we hear that guy everywhere. You tune the band, the band's dead, and you think the band's dead. You're like, well, there's nothing on 20 meters today. And you got one guy real strong in the middle of the band. It's like, hey, it's S51DX in Slovenia. It's like, well, the band isn't dead, actually. But there's that guy. he's there. He's always there, and he's always everywhere. But he's that Slovenia guy that we hear all the time. Oh, God. It's, it's okay. I mean, everybody's allowed whatever they want. That these are regulations. You're allowed to have 1,500 watts and have that fancy Yagi antenna that's going to give an amazing signal everywhere. If you can, you can. And that's the thing. But it's just like, I remember, I think it was on 40 meters, one evening, not late in the evening, maybe like early evening here. I go to 40 meters a couple of times. There's like two hams from, Massachusetts talking on one frequency, nothing else. And I'm like, wow, no, we're European hams. And then after my third sweep, I hear the guy calling CQ with a really strong signal. It's like S51DX. Oh, that's the guy from Slovenia. He makes it everywhere. I bet you can make it on 10 meters with even the solar cycle being at minimum with that antenna. It's just crazy, It's like that guy's everywhere. It's always like, what? He's always powerful, and always everywhere is powerful. It's like, yeah, okay. Hey, Slovenia. It's like that other guy that I hear all the time, Lou in Barcelona, calling CQ. He's always there. It's like, okay, hey, it's Lou. When you start calling a ham radio operator by his first name, you're like, oh, it's Lou. Hey, Lou from Barcelona. Maybe you're hearing it a lot on the bands, actually. Oh, man. Lamine Z, bonsoir. Nice to have you on board. Où es-tu? Where are you located? Chaz Tank. So, Joel, you hit that nail right on the head about a hobby. Yep, absolutely. Matt says, if you master CW, you won't even need to get a license higher than technician in the US, except if they don't have 20-meter privileges with CW. Yeah, everybody's allowed. I will say the PL990X is better than the 909X2. Yep. That would be my first choice rather than 909X2, honestly. David Allen, nice to have you here. Appreciate my ACR20 videos. Got the R30. I had a guy came up to me in an email, and he had an R20. And I have a channel where I put R20 instructional videos. And I don't know how many people came back to me saying, wow, thank you for explaining something that the manual doesn't explain well. And he got an R30. And he said, any plans on making R30 videos to explain how to use the different functions? Because it'd be very, very helpful. You explain it so well when you start, explaining how to use each of the functionalities of a radio. So that's been something that I've been thinking is, maybe I should take that R30 out and do a playlist and explain the R30. If I do that, I'll do it on the VHF, UHF range. Why? Because channel, because since it's a wideband radio and most of what I'll be demonstrating is probably more in the VHF, UHF range. I will do a few here on the shortwave range or long wave, medium wave, but RJD Dakota says, I still get all kinds of questions, especially if I go to a park and sit and listen. I never get questions, but I do get looks. People passing by looking at, what's that weird guy doing with that thing? Huh. People find you weird. And if it's like an ICOM ICR 30 or 20, the funniest part, I remember a few years ago, I had the R20 here, and I put it on my belt pocket. My belt on my pants, and I'm walking. I'm doing some shortwave listening and everything. Then I decided I'm walking through the park, just enjoying the beautiful day. But I got the talkie here on my belt, and everywhere everybody's saying, "Hi, hi, Mister, hi." And people asking me questions, and I realized that the fact that I have it here, everybody thinks I'm like the guard of the park or something. And they're all like, hi, have a nice day. It's like, hello. And people like, where's the nearest, is there a toilet somewhere? It's like, yeah, well, you'll have one there. You just go to the right. And it's like, and then you understand after half an hour, it's like, and they all think I work here, actually. I'm the guardian of the park. And what's funny about that is I thought, well, you know what? That's a good thing, because that also means that if bad guys want to try to steal, they're going to come by and they're going to say, oh, that's the guardian of the park. Let's go away. This guy's going to arrest us. He's going to call the cops with his radio. But it's always funny. It's like, very funny story with the R20, actually. So I'm hearing the NOAA weather satellite, and you guys know that in FM mode, it does that ping, ping, ping thing, and it's super strong. And I'm kind of moving like this because I'm trying to catch it like really, really well. And there's some people passing by, and the antenna is like extended maybe like this, like a little more. And there are plants, and I'm doing this over the plants, but actually it's just because I'm trying to get a better signal. One of the women comes up and says, is that some kind of instrument to search for pollution in the ground and in the plants? It's like, no, it's a radio. I'm listening to a satellite right now. Yeah, I'm detecting toxic waste. Toxic waste in the plants. The stronger you hear this, the more toxic waste is everywhere. Some of those moments that I had with the radios, I was like, okay, yeah. Joe says, got a NTI loop from Germany. Use it with the ICOM ICR 8600. Works very well on HF, but not as well on my outdoor dipole. Have it around a window. Yeah, that's a big thing about loops, and I say it very often. Is the MLA30, for example, is a great antenna for noisy environments, but in quiet environments, 100 feet of wire will actually outperform an MLA30. That's for sure. It's really a question of noise. Okay. Let's try to get a little faster here. Go up. Yeah. So that means that are you still enjoying the Icon portable receiver, the R30? Yeah, for certain things I like it. I like the fact that I listen to D-Star repeater nets and stuff that I find interesting. I mean, it's an okay radio. It's if it wasn't for the fact that it has such a bad front end here and makes it rough to listen to some stuff. It would be a nice radio. It would be even better if they added a few other digital modes, but it's okay. It's an okay radio. Yeah, because it's low noise, Jason, in your area. So that's the thing. It's really because it's low noise in your area. Because a place like here, you would not do that. Here, you would have that antenna, and you would be like, okay, I need a loop. It's really a question of the noise around you. Where you live, it's not as bad as, for example, as here. So I have the 990. Should I get another radio? Nope. You have everything you need. The only question of do you want another radio is if you want to have another radio. That's a different thing. But if you have the 990, you don't need anything else. So yeah, I've been thinking sometimes of activating the super chats. It's just that I'm a little, but yeah, super chats could be something I could activate. Absolutely. Aerial imaging. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna keep that for videos, RSP, the RSP1A and or the RSPDX and stuff, the sampling rate and decimation, and explain them well in a video. So what I'm gonna do videos of that in the next few days. So keep watching the channel, and we'll have videos on that. Richard Coward says, about to hook my MLA30 Plus to the AOR 7030 Plus today. Anyone experience any overloading in the front ends of end receivers? I haven't had any overload, and a good receiver doesn't overload on the MLA30, honestly. So, and it works well with your 990X. It's going to work well with that AOR. It's not going to overload it, that's for sure. Dimitri, a question for you. How does the astronaut in space does not have same problem with the noise as we usually hear, and how the astronauts dealing with it? Actually, it's all a question of the frequencies they use. So astronauts and space station and all of these space probes are much higher in frequency. And the higher in frequency, the less you have the effect of anything that goes on with that. Here, the main effect that we see on shortwave is due to the fact that the ionosphere is affected by the solar radiation, the geomagnetic field, and all of that. Astronauts in space and like the space station, they have line of sight communication. They use VHF, UHF frequencies, and even higher frequencies that are not dependent on something which is always changing. Shortwave has a problem of all of that because of the changes in the ionosphere. VHF, UHF line of sight aren't the same. They are still affected by the solar activity. There could still be higher noise levels, if you want, in communications, and some form of disruption in a way in communications, but it's not as bad as like the shortwave communications, for sure. Yeah, Lou EA3 and JE calling North. It always has this very distinct way of calling North America also. Take care, VT Radio. Always nice to have you on board. The export of all your radios, what radio is the most fun? Wow. What radio is the most fun? I can't pinpoint one that is more fun than another to use. When you ask a question like that, I can't really think of one that is more fun than another to use. They're all fun to use. As long as they're decent in performance, they're all fun to use for me. How the cosmos affect the airwaves to the space station, and how to hear the astronauts talking to other hams. The radio waves themselves are not much affected, except, yes, technically solar activity, intense solar activity could have or add more static to communications in their range of frequencies they might use. But in general, the cosmos itself doesn't have that much of interference in their signals, which are pretty much line of sight. So that's more of the questions. And they talk with the astronauts with the hams on 2 meters. So that's line of sight, higher frequency range. No, like I said, what makes a major difference here is because shortwave bands are affected terribly by the ionosphere, and that is making things a little more, a little more difficult, because the ionosphere is what supports our medium of propagation. But once you remove that, because VHF range doesn't have that type of communications, it's really point A to point B as long as you see each other. It's not as bad, and even though solar activity can affect, it's not as big of a problem in general. So it's very, very different. And thanks, guys. By the way, I've seen the donations come through here. Thanks, guys. I will just give you guys. So on Sunday, I will be ordering a Texan H501X, and the donations are now at $196. Thank you so much, guys, for this. So that means that I'll be shedding about $250 of my pocket. So almost half the radio, thanks to your support. Thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let's go down. Let's go down. Oh, yeah, they might think I am a cop also, RG. It's great. It's because these people are just like, straight. And I remember going to one part of the park, and there's like this little, there's, you're not supposed to go in the forest. Some of the parks here, they're very strict because people are destroying the nature. So there's one aspect. I'm going to one part of the park, enjoying a beautiful day, got the radio, got the ICOM on my belt, and here comes out a couple from a little trail in the forest, and they know they're not allowed to be there, because everywhere there are signs that saying, it's $100 fine if you go in the forest. You're not allowed. Stay in the main areas that we have designed. Guy comes out, and I hear the guy saying to his girlfriend or whatever, it's like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get a ticket," because he saw me with the radio. And he gets out of the woods, stares at me, and he's like, good afternoon. I'm like, "Hi." And he says, "We're sorry, we're not going to do it again." And I actually look at them and it's like, "Better not. Next time it's a fine." And they're going away, and I say, "Thank you for not giving us a ticket. Yep, don't do it again." I was just like going and laughing my head off. And there's a place where you could, look at the lake, and I was like all alone. And I was like laughing and laughing. It was like, this was just such a funny moment. Oh God. Yeah. There are things sometimes. Yogi wants to get a PL368 and pretend to be a park guardian. The only thing to be a park guard is you better not take the yellow PL368. It doesn't look as professional. Chastang says we had an intoxicated guy giving us trouble at a fire scene. We pointed a radio at him. It squelched and exclaimed, "Man, you're radioactive." He believed it. Oh God. Oh jeez. Robert Prosper, thinking one of those new Chinese SDRs, but hope their prices fall. Yeah. I don't know. 123 ABC, what external antenna you recommend for something or someone new? Yeah, is the included external antenna any good? All I got to say is the first thing, and that is definitely the first thing anybody should do with a radio when they're new and they have a new radio. Start by putting outside a wire, any length, 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever you can put up. See how that goes, because before investing in any antenna, start by just putting out a wire and testing it out with that. In some cases, if the noise around you is not very high, you might be very surprised. If it's too much noise and you don't really get anything better, then the MLA30 would be the next best bet, Charles Williams says, "I got several radios and always want another." Welcome to the club. So, John Doe, can you recommend a good tabletop radio? The Grundig 750 isn't bad. Honestly, you're not going to get a bad radio if you buy that. It's not the best. It's in a very average radio. But if that's a tough one, because I know a lot of people like big radios and want to have something that's like a big, nice radio. One that might maybe suit your needs and maybe you could wait is that famous H501X that I'm going to test. It's starting to get big enough to be almost a tabletop radio. So that could be something. For the rest, well, I don't know exactly what I would say, but if you would get a Grundig 750, you're still getting a good radio, honestly. Candy Glass, mistakenly blocked from joining the Facebook group. Having empty profile. Yeah, if your profile was brand new and really nothing, we usually don't accept people that don't have a Facebook profile that it's at least a year old. So what I'll do is I'll check it out, and I'll check it out tomorrow. And if you want, try to send a new request, and we'll see tomorrow. I'll check it out. Robert Prosper, I like buying cheap radios, but they all perform the same poorly. Yeah, well, the cheap radios usually are not very, very good. Joe says when Bill Clinton was elected president and was on a bus head to D.C. for the inauguration, I had my handheld scanner and earbud listening for when they were coming. People thought I was Secret Service. Oh my God, just so funny. There's some new Shortwave station pop-up. 1440 on medium wave? John, nice to have you here from Pittsburgh. WKRP 385. WIZN. What frequency is that one in Burlington, Vermont? The export. Because I hear 620. That is across the border. Daytime. Our JDA Dakota, the GP7 SSB/BL368 should be out in the next few weeks. It shouldn't be that. Yeah, that's why I tell you, Mechanic Glass, to do it tomorrow, because I will actually go and check out the blocked people. Is the same name, the name that you have here, Candy Glass, is that the same name that you used to get in? Because if I see it, what I'll do is I'll just unblock it, and you should see it and be able to do a okay, Candy DX. Okay, so I'm going to check Candy DX, and I'm going to unblock it. And tomorrow at some point, you should be able to ask to join the page again on the Facebook group. It's just for questions of security. We don't accept people that have brand new Facebook groups, Facebook pages, or Facebook profiles, because too many trolls are trying to get into the group and do bad stuff. So that's why we're very strict at who we accept, and we're very strict also is like nobody gets out of the the way that things work, because you're out real fast in the group too. It's very important to be a good Facebook group citizen on our Shortwave group and just have fun with radio. So RJD Dakota, like I said, in the next month, I would guess, I think we will see something coming out of that. I will talk about it when it's available. I've got advanced look at a few little things, so I can tell you it's coming. Matt says Grundig Satellite 750 has been rebranded as Ethon Elite 750. Says you can get identical receiver cheaper if you look at the Texan S2000 and an Onco. So that's cool. Thanks for the info. Facebook group as the official SWL channel. I'm going to post a link here for those that want to join a Facebook group. It is so here, guys, this is the Facebook group. You can go and ask to be a member if you haven't seen it. A lot of people are having fun with that group, and a lot of people are posting things they're listening to, and it's a great place to be. Yeah, it's just there's so much trolling that could be done, that we really take a lot of precautions with our Facebook group. And like I said, when somebody isn't on Facebook and decides to create a Facebook profile, what happens is that we immediately think it's a troll trying to get in. So we don't accept them. And I always tell everybody, if you have a new Facebook profile, let us know who you are in some way, either here on the chat or by email. You send me an email at Official Shortwave Radio. You tell me, look, I'm a new Facebook guy. This is who I am when I'm in the chat, or or whatever, so that we can identify, okay, you're a legitimate guy that wants to be in the group, and then we accept you. Because if you just ask to be in the group without, with just a new profile that says, your Facebook profile's been done 12 hours ago, you're not getting in. Same for those that are in the group or trying to join the group and you're not answering the radio questions, forget it. I will abide, and I will, because if we would be very strict, there are a lot of people would not be in. That question that I asked is, do you agree with the Facebook rules of the group? A lot of people don't actually, will not answer that one, will not agree with it. That one I'll let go if you answer the radio questions. But one thing for sure, if you can't answer the radio questions, you're not in. Answer the radio questions. They're very simple. What radio do you own, and how often do you listen to shortwave? You don't have to lie. You don't have to say every day if you don't listen every day. Even if you're told, I got a Panasonic RFB 65 and I listen once a month, you'll still be in. It's just a question. It's not a exam. You're not like, if you don't listen every day, you're not in. It's not like that. It's just a question, like it is. And that's it, it's just kind of trying to just show how things are, are cool and okay. And of course, just stay, have fun, and you're just gonna, just share with everybody and just have fun. The export, the SDR pick up SCA stations in your area. There's a plugin in that I've seen, I think it was for SDR Sharp, that lets you tune the subcarrier audio of FM stations. So I need to check that out. So, So, hey guys, it's been 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. First, I want to thank everybody that has donated for the H501 receiver. It is extremely, extremely nice and extremely cool for you guys to come through with this. We are ending the night here at donations of $226.70, guys. Thank you so much. It's so much appreciated for all of you to give a little something. This is, of course, the fund going towards the Texan H501X that will be purchased on Sunday. And of course, hopefully, it shouldn't take a lot of time. It takes only a few days from Nonco usually. And I'll be what I'll be doing, because you guys have donated for it, I will be doing my unboxing live. I will not open the box until we do a live. So the unboxing will be live for you guys. And that's to thank you for the donations. And thank you so much for coming through. And we'll be checking that out, seeing what that radio is all about. And thanks for being great fans. Thanks for being here. It's always fun to have you guys around here. Ingrid Mart says, what do you think of Sony? Why do you think Sony is not into shortwave radios anymore? Their 2010 7600 were great radios. Their sing detection was excellent. Any rumors about them jumping back? I think they left because it was not a big enough market for them. Sony is a company that has a lot of financial difficulties, honestly. What's happening with Sony is that their main electronics departments are all losing money. The only real place where they're making money is with the PlayStation gaming consoles. So I think one of the reasons that they stopped doing shortwave receivers is that for the amount of radios they sold versus the money that comes in, and the fact that their electronics departments are all losing money, they decided, let's scrap all of that. We're not making money, and that is a market we're not selling as much radios as before. And just look at how the markets and the things change today. It's dominated more like with Chinese companies like Texan that are doing their stuff. Yes, Sony receivers were amazingly good. Sing detection was excellent on these radios, but they're not going to come back. They already have a hard time with everything electronics. I mean, even their TV side, even the Sony TV side is losing tons of money. It's a company that's searching itself in many, many ways, with competition that is extremely, extremely fierce now with China and all of that. So don't expect shortwave radios to come back to Sony. They're focusing on other things now. So take care, everyone. Thanks for everything. Stay safe. Love you all. And a lot of Japanese companies are all in the same boat. I mean, especially when you want to make things in Japan. When you want to make things in Japan, it costs a fortune. China is hitting hard on the competition of everybody. I can tell you that. So that's the bad thing, the bad side of all of this, unfortunately. So we have RJ88 Dakota that wants to have Moscow Nights. Oh, by the way, guys, just before we leave, I've purchased new lights for the shows here. And they are smart bulbs that can do every color of the rainbow possible. So I thought that could be cool because we could have like an ambiance of, rather than having always the same exact type of lighting, we could actually put it in different colors and moods depending on the live show. So I'm supposed to have these bulbs on Friday, ordered from Amazon. And I thought it'd be maybe a cool thing to have better lighting and have different colors and have different different ways of doing the different moves. I've also am looking for maybe something behind my screen here that could put the wall in the back in a different color. I know, just for the fun of it. Who knows? So I'll make the lights red when playing Moscow Nights. That would be good. A disco ball for Moscow Nights. Oh, God. We need a disco version of Moscow Nights for that. So Chastang says, Shortwave Listeners Lounge. So anyways, take care, guys. And here we go with Moscow Nights. Is my... Yeah, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Moscow Nights. Wow, there's this guy that I see here that's doing a shortwave radio stream, apparently. He looks cool. Moscow Nights. Moscow Nights. There we go. So stay safe, everyone. And take care. Love you all. It's always fun to have you on board. Thanks for the donations, you guys. I appreciate it so much. I need dancers. Yeah, green screen would be a good idea. Absolutely, aerial imaging. You're listening to Radio Moscow. We are broadcasting on 27 different frequencies with 500 kilowatts of power. We also have an extra 50 frequencies for the woodpecker. Yeah, that would work. Painting the wall green. That would work. That'd be a green screen. Bonne soirée, Christian Marco. Like that one, Keegan, with the extra 50 frequencies for the woodpecker. Oh yeah, voice of the report of the week, immediately. Absolutely, I listen to that all the time. Hey comrades, we have a super station for you. All comrades should be listening to the super buzzing hour on 4625. All buzzing, all the time, 24 hours a day. Hey Gabrielle, have a good morning from Italy. Welcome to the Communist People's Republic of Shortwave, where everybody's free to vote for me and only me. Wow, pretty cool, Michael, with the China radio coming all the way. Yeah, I would imagine everybody's just like having, that little moment out there, having fun. Maybe we should have a Sesame Street moment, like, today our comrades are coming with the letter V as in a channel marker, the letter V. That's Alaska calling.
This is Alaska calling. You're listening to station KNLS, Anchor Point, Alaska, United States of America.
Take care, everybody. Love you all. Stay safe. See you Saturday. 20 hours UTC. Better be there, comrades, or you're out of the Communist Party.